when I saw the news, I wasn't surprised. I wasn't shocked. Because like I said, I know Steve. He's a great guy, great player. We all know that. But my first thought was, why didn't Mark Jackson or some other African-American guys who have coached in this league get an opportunity to at least go and do an interview, with the Brooklyn Nets? So, I got a call from a real good friend of mine that was, a little upset about it. And I said, listen, man, first of all, we don't get those jobs. When I say we, I'm talking about black coaches. We don't get jobs like that are that set and that good when you got two all-stars like Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. You normally get the jobs that I've had over the years where, you have the New Orleans Hornets. When I had the New Orleans Hornets were 18 wins. My first job was New Jersey at 20 wins. So we don't get those jobs where you have built-in superstardom guys on that roster right away. We get the jobs where you have to try to make something out of nothing. And then when you don't or you're not able to do it, they'll say, see, we gave him an opportunity. And that's how I kind of look at it. Steve is getting a great job. I mean, there's a lot of coaches who would love to have that job where you got Kevin Durant, who's arguably the best player in the NBA, and you got Kyrie Irving, who's one of the best point guards in the NBA, and you got, Dunwoody and some other guys on that team that are very good. So that's a team that we already know is going to be a playoff team, also has an opportunity to win a championship.
Coaching the NFL, they have the Rooney Rule. Does something like that need to be put in place in the NBA so we can buck this trend and start changing things?
Well, I think something like that does need to be in place, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to change anything. So they mandate you to have to interview an African American or a person of color. That don't mean you're going to hire him. You're just going through the process. But I have to do this, so I'm gonna interview 2 or 3 African American coaches or coaches of color. I'm gonna do the same thing as position in the front office, but that don't mean I'm a hirer. But at least it gives us an opportunity to at least go in and interview for those gigs. But again, that doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna change anything.
Right. You mentioned you got a call from a friend who was really upset. You being as plugged in as you are still with the NBA players, with coaches. Are people inside of the league upset about this hiring? Not necessarily because they dislike Steve Nash, obviously, but just because you have a guy who has never coached who is getting an opportunity here when Jacques Vaughn had done really well as the interim head coach. And there are other guys with experience out there like Mark Jackson, like you mentioned.
Right. I don't know if I would say upset's the word. I think guys are disappointed. I think there's a lot of guys that are disappointed. And in another way I think this can change, obviously, is from the players' perspective as well. And I think from a player's perspective, our players don't do a good enough job for advocating for black coaches. And that's just something that we have to change as well. So it's just one of those things that's going to take time. We all know that, but I think it's something that we have to pay attention to.
Yeah, is the onus on guys like LeBron James and Kevin Durant? We know it, we're not talking about a rookie here who's going to go demand stuff, obviously, but to the guys whose voice does mean something inside of their franchises, is it on them to make it a point and say, hey, I would like you guys to hire a black head coach? Is the onus on the players?
Well, I would say they have a part of it. I wouldn't say the onus is directly on them. I don't want to put that type of pressure on the players. I do want them to stand up for black coaches, though. I think they should be a little bit more involved in the process. You go back 5 or 6 years when I was up for the Laker job. Who came in and advocated for me? Kobe Bryant. I get the job. So I think they understand that they do have a voice and they have a platform where they can be, where they will be heard if they do voice their opinion. But I don't want them to do nothing that doesn't feel right to them.
Right.
So if a player doesn't feel that black coach is the right fit for the team, that's okay as well.